Our next talk right now, can crypto go from degen to regen? We talked about degenning earlier. Ladies, let's degen, but ladies, let's regen. Bringing up Gloria, who is at Morph L2. Gloria is, I'm gonna give an intro because I love Gloria, okay? She is just a force in this space, making sure that developers from all backgrounds, especially women and underrepresented genders and ethnicities, are really included. And she does a lot of work outside of being a crypto badass for developers, events, and then like how we actually put certain practices into place to make a more inclusive, equitable Web3 space. So find her after and ask her a bunch of questions. And I just want to say that because she's finally free to join a SheFi summit. So we're very happy to have her.
Thank you so much, Maggie. I'm super excited to be here. Just for your own sanity's sake, I am a very energetic person, so I don't apologize, but like, yay, let's have fun through this next 10 minutes. I'm gonna say next slide, because I don't have a clicker, so does someone, oh, okay, perfect. Awesome. So my name is Gloria Kimbwala. I am the Director of Global Events at Morph, and we will get started. So. Okay, well, it's actually this way, right? Oh, you're gonna, yeah.
But you can scan her flow app now. Get a head start on the flow app. Yeah, sorry.
And one of the benefits for me being like distinguishedly Congolese is G Kimbwala is my handle for everything. So if you need to tag me for anything, please know that it is me. If it looks like me, it probably is me. All right, so this talk is called Can Crypto Go from Degen to Regen, otherwise known as everything about public goods funding you can learn from Barbie. So we're gonna go ahead and go from that movie. And as you can tell, I am ETH number Barbie for today. All right. Can you do next slide? I don't know who has, is it going? Oh, perfect. You gonna be my slide buddy? Yeah. Thank you, friend. All right. So what's a degen? A degen is someone who uses their crypto in highly speculative ways, mostly for trading or investing their cryptocurrency. Next slide. And that seems a little bleak and dystopian at times when you think that that's the only use that people are using it for. Go ahead, next slide, friend. So is there more to crypto than being a degen? This narrative has to be used into something that can be a little bit more hopeful and give us hope for the future. Next slide, friend. So, of course, you want to be where you have some type of meaning. And Barbie says it best when it says, I want to be part of the people that make the meaning, not something that's being made. So. That's where we become regens. Regens embrace the whole philosophy of regenerative cryptoeconomics. And what that means is those people who are crypto users who can use their tokens and invest in blockchain to create a more regenerative future or improve their environment or their communities. How do we start? You know, how can you become a regen? First of all, that whole explanation of regenerative cryptoeconomics doesn't all have to make sense. The easiest way that I can explain it is the old school like power to the people way, where if you have crypto and you have people in your community that want to make change, your power is in the people and you can enforce that change. So, oh wait, go back a slide, yeah. So it doesn't all have to make sense to you right now. There might be a whole bunch of weird terms in it, but what you have to know is that you all are all welcome, and your expertise is where you come from. So if you know that you need change in your community and like the old traditional systems weren't working for you beneficially, then you are exactly where you want to be in the regenerative cryptoeconomic space because you want to be able to use these new systems in order to power your community. Next slide. So there's two kind of concepts in regenerative cryptoeconomics that you kind of want to think of, and one of them is impact. So from Barbie, we know that we mothers stand still so our daughters can look back and see how far they've come. this type of aspect is kind of like retroactive funding, where you've made an impact and you can look back at that impact and say, wow, that was impactful. We should have funded that thing that happened when it happened. That's retroactive funding. The other type of funding is when you have an event coming up and you're like, oh, like a grants round, we should fund this thing that would probably have impact in our communities. And that's kind of like a grants rounds with like Giveth or Getcoin or things like that. So I want you to all know that you all can make an impact. And the ways that you can make that impact is by joining a DAO, you can contribute to a Getcoin grant, you can contribute to a retroactive PGF fund, you can basically also like mine a hypercert and show like, yes, this event was impactful. This is all aspects of being regenerative that you can get involved in just right now without even having to have like a token per se on it. And this is really important for us because I feel like when Ken had said like, I'm trained to stand here confidently, it reminded me, next slide, about how our male counterparts are really just kind of trained to be in the spaces and like, sorry man, but not have to go through as many hurdles to get their fundings that we had. And the system works really well for certain men within the space. And that's the way it has been. For women, or 2.4% of women get funded from VC funding. It's even worse if you are from any type of marginalized community from that. The system, as it currently stands, has not worked for a large majority of people, and yet we continue trying to navigate the system that hasn't worked well for us. And so what we can do with retroactive funding and with being a regen is we can now fund ourselves and our communities and use a different system to fund the changes that we want to see in our environments and within our communities. Yeah. So it says a main point, of course, Gloria in the movie says, honey, that's life, it's all about change. Sometimes you just have to embrace the change. You can either be the change, embrace the change, want the change, but know that change is possible and not have to be stuck in some type of dystopian mindset that, everything is the way it is and that we can't move forward. Okay, so the most important thing is to fund what matters. Fund what matters to you. So you can fund something that's important to you. You can fund something that impacts you. You can fund your actual community. You can fund your friends. You can fund a talk. There's a lot of things that you can fund. And I think this is really important for us as women because a lot of times we feel like the onus is on us to get ourselves from our bootstraps and get us to the next position, but we also see value in the work that we're doing that is not funded. A lot of the work that we do is not funded. And we need a different type of change in order to do that. And so I like to think of it like, in the future world, I'm done having children now, but in the future world, I would love to see something where the women in our, the women that are like my nieces and nephews, if they wanted to take like maternity leave or something like that, they could invest in a maternity token that had yield and that basically they could draw upon that yield during their maternity leave and then not feel so rushed to go back to work or stay home or make different choices than we can currently make right now. So one more back, my friend, perfect. Something to keep in mind is that you can always use your crypto to be a driving force in your community, and you don't have to only have the narrative of like, one token, let's go to the moon. It can actually be used for a lot more different things that can be really beneficial. And where you see it in the space right now is things with like refi DAOs, you can see it with green pill DAOs, you can see it with SheFi, you can see it with a lot of different communities where they are investing in impact that are impacting their different communities too. So. One thing that I would love to empower you all is the thought that, yes, our lives are very short. We only have one specific ending. At some point, we will die, but our ideas and our impact will go on forever. So if you do have an idea, know that your idea is valid, and even that your community supports your idea. I would never want you to think that you can't bring a change or you're the only person going through it. The likelihood is that you have a great idea, and if you have to explain it to someone who maybe is not part of that community and doesn't understand your idea, you're just explaining it to the wrong people. If you can find your community can fund your idea, and it's likely that they are impacted by the pain point that your idea is trying to address as well. So go on with your ideas, get them funded, create a grant, impact a grant. If you ever do have questions, you can always send them to me. I'd be more than happy to, but I would really encourage you all to really embrace the whole regen philosophy and know that there's more that you can do with your crypto than just wanting it to go to the moon. Thank you. I'm Gloria Kimbwala. If you have any questions, let me know. I think I have a moment for questions, if anyone has any questions. Yeah. Go ahead.
I often see this, right? The VCs that don't fund a women's project, and I keep asking the same question, why? You know, I get different type of answers. I try to answer that question myself. I would like to know, from your perspective, what you have seen in this space, and why there is this disparity.
Everything again about the amount of VCs that have women partners. So 90% of VCs are run by men, like have men as partners who are the decision makers, who have like men as the decision makers, right? So let's just say I wanted to have a decentralized period tracker that made it be anonymous, right? And I said, okay, I'm gonna have this period tracker, it's anonymous, it's great, I'm gonna go try to get VC funding. If I'm going to 90% of the people who've never experienced a period and saying like there's an importance for this period tracker, they won't understand why they would have to fund it because they're not part of the community. They don't understand the pain points that are happening. They won't, like, it would take more time for me to explain like why having an anonymous period tracker during the age when people are being penalized for like possibly tracking their period would be impactful. And if you only have 5 minutes for VC and I'm spending my 5 minutes explaining to you why a period tracker is important, not why my period tracker is important, then like I'm missing that funding opportunity. So it gets to the point where it's like, they don't know the problem. Like they have no contents of the problem, and then the time that you have with them, which is valuable time, is spent with them like solving their lack of knowledge on the problem rather than saying like, hey, this is a valid solution. And so a lot of the times it's if we then sell, like I had a woman who had like a period tracker on a GetCoin grant and said like, hey, I'm thinking about building this out. I would need this amount of much money to do it. And we could quadratically fund that grant to then like let her run with her ideas. And you went and pitched it to a room that had like 90% women and they all had $1. Through quadratic funding, that would get funded pretty easily. Yeah. Next question. Any other question? We found another mic.
Thank you so much. The lessons to Barbie were amazing. As a matter of fact, this is less of a question and more of an ask.
Yeah.
You had a wonderful slide there with actionable items. It went a little too quickly. Can you pull it up again so we
Yeah.
could take a picture?
Go for
Smack
it.
in the middle of it.
Let's see. Is it the Fund What Matters ones or the impact ones? There we go. That's the one that I would say. And there are lots of DAOs that you can join. Like SheFi, her DAO. There's a lot of DAOs that you can join. Lots of great funding opportunities there. If ever you need any questions, like I will be more than happy to answer them. Yeah.
So you're saying like it could be for a business idea too?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I have an idea.
it could be, I mean, if you think about it, it could be a business idea, it could be a podcast, it could be a magazine, it could be a dinner, an event. It doesn't have to be something as large as like, I have a token I want to release. It's like, I think we should get together on Sunday and have a brunch. Let's go ahead and throw a GetCoin grant around it. That's around, you know, empowering women per se on it. And then you could apply it. So with the like, GetCoin grants, if you meet the criteria of what the grant pool is for, you can apply for that grant pool, yeah. And does everyone kind of know quadratic funding? I know I said it, but would you like an explainer? Okay, here we go. We're going to explain this in one. Okay, let's say there's 2 pools, right? And I have $1,000, and pool number 1 has 1 person, and they contributed $500. But pool number 2 has 5 people that each contributed $100. So they both have $500, right? 1 through 1 person, 1 through 5 people. Traditionally, if you had a pool that had $1,000, I'd say, oh look, you both raised the same amount. I'm going to split the pool right in half. Half of this pool goes to you. Half of this pool goes to the 5 people one. Quadratic funding is the more people you have contributing to the fund. It impacts the fund more than the amount that you had. So here I would see 1 person contribute to a fund, and here I'd see 5 people contribute to the fund. So it'd be a 5-to-1 spread on it. So you'd have like 90% of the fund would go to the one that the 5 people wanted of the matching pool. And then the one that had the 1 person matching it, that would get the 1%. So you'd get $900 here and $100 here because more people wanted this fund. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Yeah. That's like the easiest way to explain it. All right, cool. All righty then. Yeah, I hope that helped. Is that good?